one's hurt me more than you, and no one ever will, no matter how, to let me know it ain't working. Woo! And when I try to walk away, you hurt yourself to make me stay. This is crazy. This is crazy. Woo! Good evening, guys. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Keith Gale Belvin here, and it is Thursday night. Welcome to a literary conversation with KL, where every Tuesday and Thursday night from 10 to 10:30 p.m., I have a discussion about my literary works, my literary style of writing, just anything connected to my literary path, my journey. I wanted to, these 2 days a week, to just reclaim my passion, to have some fun, just talking about the whole writing process, the journey, everything. And so tonight, what I want to talk about, and first let me just say, we are streaming on 3 platforms: Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Periscope. And the only way that I'll know if someone is there is if you pop into the chat room and say hello. Definitely acknowledge you. If not, hang out, watch. Also, if you're watching on Periscope, make sure you tap that screen. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you like, invite some friends to come and hang out with me. And remember, at the end of the night, make sure that you have liked this video. Make sure that you have shared this video. And if you have shared it, make sure you share it with a little message. Tell your people why they should check me out, and I'll take it from there. And last and not least, I will give you a reason to support. So I'm not just going to tell you up front, demand that you support me. I'm going to give you reason to support, or hopefully I will. Okay, so again, if you're watching, thank you, welcome. And remember, I will not know you are there until you come up in the chat room and announce yourself, and then I will gladly have a dialogue with you. So tonight, what we're going to talk about is one of my favorite books, From Gigolo to Jesus. Hey, Kim, thank you for tuning in. As long as I get one person, I'm good. Even if I don't, I'll talk to, I'm like talking to the world. How we doing, Kim? So tonight is, I'm not going to say it's going to be tough, but I do want to have a conversation about how this book helped me understand the pain that I caused others. And I think the hardest thing when writing a memoir, and the book that we're talking about is my book, From Gigolo to Jesus. Kim, I think this is the book that you got, it's on its way. So depending on how the postal service is in your community, because everything seems to be holed up around here, but this is From Gigolo to Jesus. And the reason why this is my favorite book, because this is me. I wrote this trying to figure out how much of myself do I give the world? How much do I talk about? I didn't give everything, because Lord knows if I gave everything, then some people would never talk to me again. With the names of the women in the book, I had to change those because I wanted to respect the women that I had been with, because it's an interesting ride. Let me say this. I'm 52 years old. I'll be 53 in December. And in 2006, when I made the decision to give my life to the Lord, it meant trying to change over something that I had been doing for 37 years. And that's not easy when you lived your life a particular way for 37 years. And I have no problem discussing being a whore. I have no problem discussing that I was misogynistic, and I saw women as objects. It's how I was raised, even though I had a loving mother and a loving grandmother. But I spent a lot of times out in the streets. I spent a lot of time around a lot of men who didn't care about women. I didn't have a father. And none of those are excuses for my behavior, but they're reasons. And you live with the dirt. You live with the dirt that you put out there. So when sitting down And it was actually my wife that pushed me to write this, because when I had wrote my poetry book, A Man in Transition, I had explained to people about the transition. I explained to people the motivation for the poetry. But it was my wife said, every time I hear you talk to people about why you wrote the poetry book, you need to sit down and really just let them understand who you are. So that's what I did. I sat down and decided I'm gonna share enough that you'll get a feel for who I am and to understand what that transition was like. And then I also realized that I wanted to tell my own story. So I wanted to publish my own work. I didn't want to go to somebody else and say, here, I want to tell my story. And they go, oh, don't say this, don't say that. And you shouldn't really talk about that. And people might not be digging this. No. I decided I wanted to tell my story, publish my story, and let the people decide whatever they were going to decide. So I can honestly say that I'm quite pleased with how the book has been received. I'm also quite pleased with how the book opens up doors. And if you've been with me before, thank you for sharing, Kim. I just saw it on my phone. I'm quite pleased with where God has taken the book and how it's opened up the doors for other people to have conversations with me. But now, what I want to share with you tonight is how the book actually helped me understand other people's pain, and I'll explain what that looks like. Anybody who has gone through any type of transition, weight loss, marriage, faith, whatever, I've gone through all of them. When I turned my life over to the Lord, it didn't happen in no church. I've told the story before. It happened in a hotel while I was trying to get into something nasty. So you don't just wake up the next day and go, oh, I'm saved, and all of a sudden the whole world is different. It actually isn't. You wake up with a new focus that you're now going to try to do the things that the Lord would have you do, but now you got a fight on your hands. Now you have to fight your flesh, meaning the things that used to tantalize you, please you. You got to fight to let those things go, and that's like a form of addiction. You have to fight the release of friends and people that you think that you love that are connected to the you that you currently are, but cannot be connected to the new you that you're trying to become. You have to apologize and live up to the damage that you've done to other people because you've cheated on this person, hurt this person. What's going on, T to the Y? And you now have to live with being able to own the trash that you put out. And so once you get saved and you're like, okay, now you're trying to live this life, you got a whole separate life that's not trying to let you go. And let me explain something to you guys. Your whole life is going to fight to the death to keep you in place. And Kim or Ty, if that makes sense to you, give me a number one. If you understand what I'm talking about, when you're trying to make a change and the thing that you're trying to change from doesn't seem to want to let you go. I don't want you to out yourself. I'm gonna do enough of that tonight. But give me a thumbs up or a one if you understand what I'm talking about, how when you're trying to let something negative go, thank you, Kim, how it just doesn't want to let you go. And I never was diagnosed as a sex addict, but I self-diagnosed. And I don't think I was a sex addict. I think I was an attention junkie, which is different. Sex was just the way that I went and got the attention. And another thing that sex allows you to do, it allows you to manipulate other people. And when you start having sex at age 12, yes, age 12. So I've been at this for 40 years. When you start having sex at age 12, and then by age 16, you've had sex with a 40 and 50-year-old woman at the same time. Some men would cheer that on, and a lot of men did. I had men and friends that was like, that's what I'm talking about, son. So, of course, I'm thinking, here's the attention junkie. I'm thinking, yes, I'm getting adulation. I'm getting applause. The 40-year-old woman that I was messing with was a friend of my aunt. She liked what I was doing to her at 16, so she invited a friend and said, "Can you do the same thing to my friend?" Sure. Here's what both of them didn't realize: how the molestation manifests. See, if it was a 40 and 50-year-old man with a 16-year-old girl, everybody would be like, "Oh, that's disgusting," and ready to throw him under the jail, and they would deserve to go. But when it's a 40 and 50-year-old woman, you got people who's actually saying, "What's wrong with that?" Well, I'll tell you what's wrong. And I talk about this when I go out and I speak to parents, and when I speak to young men, and when I speak to mothers. Because every now and then, when I'm in a room full of women, and I tell this story, I look around the room. I don't out them, but a lot of women give away that they were that 40 and 50-year-old woman. I can tell with their eyes. Like they'll make eye contact with me, and then they cut their eyes away. You can see the shame. I don't put them on blast because I'm a man of God and I'm trying to heal. But when a 40, 50-year-old woman get with a 16-year-old boy, his body responds tremendously. His body responds in a way that he's like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. But what you're doing to his mind is the damage. And then what happens, and this is what the 40 and 50-year-old woman don't see. You have armed a 16-year-old boy with knowledge that 16-year-old girls can't defend themselves against. So what do you think he does to the girls his age? He abuses them. Because abused people abuse people. And monogamy doesn't even come into the picture, because why would a 16-year-old boy ever consider monogamy when he's already seen that sexual prowess will open up the door to many things? And when you live that way for 37 years, you get very astute, very good at it. And I'm not bragging, but it's truth. You practice anything repeatedly, routinely, and your verbiage, your ability to speak, your movements, your eye movements, the sound of your voice, a well-placed touch on somebody's arm or shoulder, on the small of their back, the way that you kiss. You learn how to manipulate your partner's experience with you so you can have your way when you don't care about them the least. So you may say, Keith, what does this have to do with the book itself? In writing the book from a different position, now I'm not that man. Gave it up. So when I started writing this book in 2006, I didn't finish until 2010. And the reason why it took me 4 years, I would start and I would stop. I would start and I would stop. Because when your heart changes and your mindset changes, you don't celebrate the damage you do to other people. You started to remove the people who cheered that man and replaced it with people who love the spiritual man that you are now. And you realize how you would let them down if you became that. And you realize that you start to think to yourself, how did I ever become that? Why did I even allow myself to become that? Well, it's because you were an attention junkie. You loved it. You loved the newness of being with multiple women. All right, I'll take that call in a second. And I found that over the years, what's going on, Flex? Over the years, when I've gone back to read the book, it hits just as hard because I did a lot of damage to a lot of women. I did a lot of damage to a lot of marriages. I did a lot of damage to a lot of relationships. And I can't repair it all. And I don't hold that weight. I really don't. I don't hold the weight of I've apologized. And what I do hold is the memory of that man. So hold on one sec. The hell is going on here? I'm gonna come right back on, guys. I'm sorry, because my phone keeps ringing. Hold on a second. Yeah, dog. Hello?
I had to call paramedics. They're working on mommy.
What happened?
I had to call paramedics. They're working on mommy right now.
Where?
She was at my house all day. Everything was fine. I just got in the house and she's not feeling. I'm not feeling well. We're trying to get her to go in and get on the oxygen in the house. And before I could even get her in the house, she's like falling out and her eyes start rolling. But they're working on it.
They in the house now?
I'm outside with the paramedics and the EMS. They're working on it right now. They're trying to get a faint pulse.
She doesn't have a pulse?
I don't know.
She doesn't have a pulse?
Got a faint pulse, very faint pulse. I called 911 and now the paramedics is here. I don't know. They're gonna take it to Jamaica Hospital if they work them in and everything. I don't know.
Who's there with you?
Jeanette's here because we were all together. Jeanette's here, Tisha's here, Cherry's here, Denise is here. I'm just waiting to see what they say as they're working on it. But she looks like she's stroke.
She looked like she had a stroke?
She looked like she had a stroke.
My God.
Like she was having one.
As she was unable to speak or anything like that? Was she responsible?
She just walked to the car. She just got in the car. She said when we were leaving, that she wasn't feeling good. She always says she can't breathe, she can't walk or whatever. But when she got in the chair, I dragged the kid out to the yard. But she's been at my house all day. We sat down and was taking care of everything today. And she was fine. She walked outside, got in my car, everything.
All right. Well, just relax.
I don't know.
Relax. Let us see what happens. Relax. Just
pray.
I'm praying.
Just pray.
I'm praying.
Pray.
Just take it easy. Just relax. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. All right. Well, I'm here. No. I was on